Hello, my name is Carlos Mateo, and I am recording the chapter awards for Spring 24 on behalf of Beta Gamma Nu Fraternity Incorporated. And some of the awards that we would like to nominate ourselves for would be external relations, recruitment, intake slash retention, and then community service and philanthropy. So for external relations, we have had a really good, successful alumni event, which is just to go out and just get some food in a food court, maybe a brewery or something. And this is a place where we got to see a lot of alumni come out just for the same reason that everyone likes food. And it's just a fun place that really doesn't require any planning from us. And everyone can just go with their significant others, their wife, their kids, and then, we just have a good time. And that's the picture on the left. And we have had a really good um, attendance from our alumni, as well as regarding our parents and family relations. I feel like this is well embedded in our new member education process, especially with, encouraging the potential new members to have dinners with their families, maybe have a sleepover. And that's a picture of me with my pledge brothers whenever we decided to have a sleepover. And it's just a really special thing that we encourage our pledges to do is just going and actually meeting the people that are part of your brother's lives. So for example, we ended up going into my pledge brother's mom's house, and then I got to talk to her. We cooked some food, and then we were just having a good time. And in the end, that's what makes your connections better and your relationships to your brothers better. Like actually meeting their families and knowing where they come from and just being a part of their small little life, as well as the local community, which for us it would be the MGC. And I feel like this year we tried to do that by encouraging our members to participate in strolling. So this was part of the just the MGC community. We've also, tried to set up socials around with other fraternities and sororities just to keep in touch with them as well. And then again, continuing with our NGC connections. So this is like another example, which would be the Rayos del Sol PLC philanthropy event, which we have participated with them 2 years in a row. So they kind of just bring some high schoolers around to show them around CSU. And for 2 years in a row, we've helped them, guide some of the tours. And that was me on the picture on the left, as well as we also try to incorporate some sort of workshops that are open to the whole community. And again, this one was with Pi Lambda Chi and Beta Gamma Nu, which was the Crossroads Safe House workshop, which we had a really good attendance. And then overall, we try to be a part of the FS community. So this year, for the first time, we decided to actually participate in FS Fest. And we are delighted to say that we ended up winning, even though it was our first time. So we will try to continue that throughout the years. And it's just a really good way to get other connections. So in this year, FS Fest, we ended up being paired with SIGUP and Pi Phi and then us. So now we actually have some sort of connections with their chapters, and we at least have like a common ground that then we can work on if we wanted to work towards setting up another event or something in the future. So external relations this year was successful. I feel like we've never branched out as much as we did this semester and past year. So I feel like this was a really good year for us when it comes to external relations. And another big part that this year was our recruitment, intake, and retention. So for a long time, our chapter was usually smaller. I would say 5 to 10, whatever the number in between would be there, which is a good number that keeps you afloat. But a lot of times, whenever you have those smaller numbers, it gets a little harder to run the chapter as you have to balance school life and other things. So we ended up having two classes. So our row class in the fall 23, and then our Sigma class, which was this spring 24. And then I feel like this was a really good year for recruitment. In total, there's 8 from row class, and then we have 5 from Sigma class. So that is 13 new members that were crossed by our active chapter of 5. So that more than doubled our numbers. And now we actually have the numbers to make bigger things around campus because it's a little hard when you're a smaller chapter. And then I really just want to focus on how like different each class is and how our new member education process kind of adapts to their needs. So on the left side, we see that the row class is kind of diverse. They're business majors, engineering majors, different overall. They're all super different. And then on the other hand, our Sigma class, a lot of them are very similar. They're all in STEM degrees, so they all kind of have the same life where they're balancing work and then a really hard academic load. So they kind of just have all some similar backgrounds. And then, so going back to row class, they kind of focused a lot on brotherhood as they kind of just needed that sense of brotherhood to bond them. Again, they're super different, so it was really nice seeing how they all interacted with each other, even though they were like really different people. But then on the Sigma class, I feel like a lot of them had a lot more to do with pride. You know, they had pride in their work. They were proudful to be in STEM, and it was just a really good way for them to keep building on their pride and show that they will be going on to greater things. And then again, the row class, I don't think they had the best academic year, but hopefully they're becoming more academics. And then our Sigma class, they were actually academics. So our new member education process is super lenient on the requirements. So we can change and shift the amount of study hours depending on how much a class needs. So for example, our Sigma class did not need a lot of academic um, encouragement because they were sort of good per se, but obviously they still had their own goals to meet. But then the row class, it was more about pushing them to actually focus on school. And then I feel like our new member education process does a lot with that, that we kind of see what the needs of each class is and we just kind of run with them. So our process isn't strict per se in the guidelines of what we need to teach or what we need to focus on. And overall, in the end, both of these classes are the future. So another big thing on our recruitment intake and retention was bringing back our Boulder chapter, which is the new chapter. So it was uh, brought back from the dead since we kind of got established around COVID, and then we couldn't really get a lot of the traction going after COVID ended. So we ended up bringing it back, and we again brought back 8 members into Boulder. So that was the same semester that we crossed road class as well. So myself and my chapter of 5 more people were, trying to bring back Boulder, which is the 8 individuals, but then we were also focused on our own process, which is again the road class 8 individuals. So just that semester alone, we were able to basically bring 16 brothers. And that was a really big deal for us because we are the only chapter in Colorado here. The rest of our Beta Gamma News chapters are in California. So that was a big deal for us. And now we have a relationship with Boulder that's not just like ourselves and another organization, but it's actually our brothers. So that's a really big deal for us to be able to support each other since we're closer and not just be ourselves isolated here. And then again, another thing we always would bring was like taking a brotherhood trip to California, and it was never really done. And then this semester we finally got it done. We were able to go. 5 of our CSU brothers were able to go to California, and then we just kind of learned a lot of our traditions, and we finally got to connect with the other chapters. I mean, we've known them from Zoom calls and whatnot, but it's really not the same as meeting them in person and finally like interacting with all of them. So again, we just learned a lot of big things like our traditions that were kind of somewhat lost or somewhat changed. And it was just really fun to see how our chapters work over there in relations to ours, since they tend to be a little bigger and then we're still growing a little. So I feel like that was a really good thing to do, is finally establishing that connection. And then now, if in the future we have something going on like a brotherhood retreat with like a national retreat, then it wouldn't be so awkward to just meet them for the first time. Now we actually all have a foundation to work upon. And then we would also just like to apply for the Community Service and Philanthropy Award, just for our goals that we have set. So I feel like this year we honestly did not do as much as we could have, but we are planning a lot of new things in the upcoming fall 24 and then spring 25. So hopefully this can get better. But for now, I feel like we have continuously been super happy to work with CS Unity whenever it comes. And then this year we did actually try a new thing, which was our philanthropy event. And this one was for Fort Collins Rescue Mission. And we've never done this event before. So it was just a lot of planning, and I feel like this event was really successful since it was in the LSC Plaza during the day and it was like basically a dunk tank. So we ended up raising $311. So all of that was donated to the Fort Collins Rescue Mission. And on top of that, we ended up buying around $600 worth of items that the shelter needed. So that could be socks, shoes, jeans, shirts, anything like that for the shelter. And we just really enjoyed this. It was challenging for sure. It was really hard to work with the LSC. Honestly, it was the worst um, sort of organization to work with. Not organization, but the LSC was just very hard to work with to get an event like this going on. And in the end, we ended up just somehow pulling it off. And I feel like that's a big accomplishment, especially for our chapter that does not have that much experience with events like this. So again, I'll restate that the LSC was super hard to work with, but this is necessarily not a bad thing, since if we got the dunk tank approved, which was super hard, imagine what else we can do that's not as hard. So that's what our new president Armando is focusing a lot of. We're focusing in what can we do now, especially with our growing numbers. And also, we already did something that was super hard, like working with the LSC for an event like this that has a lot of variables and things that can go wrong and procedures that we need to follow. So whenever we plan something, it won't be as hard because we've already done something harder. And in our minds, this is super helpful to learn on how the future is going to be. So again, I want to just focus more on the future because that's what I would hope that the award is one for, not for the events that we did this semester, but maybe for the future ones in the fall. So now we have more members and we can do more programming. And some of those are just like the ones that we used to have, like Fall Ball 22. That was the last year we did Fall Ball. And that's a picture of the event. And we just have had a lot of alumni say that we should try to bring it back. And then it's been a little hard with our smaller numbers, but finally I feel like we could get it done. And I just feel like that's the thing that we need to focus now, is bring back some of the things that were lost along the way and just keep working on them, especially if it's like an event that's for the community. And Fall Ball was just always super nice. It focused on our main philanthropy, which was Hearts and Horses Therapy Writing Center in Loveland. And then also just kind of, it would always be also about bringing awareness to suicide prevention and awareness. So that is something we're focusing for the fall, is seeing how we could get it back now that we have the numbers to pull it off. And then again, something we would like to do is always encourage our members into doing their own community service. So this this picture on the right is one of our brothers who was doing community service by being a basketball coach for one of the schools here in Fort Collins. And I feel like that was just a really good opportunity for him that really got some experience on him since working with people our age is, expected that we are kind of accustomed to, but working with people that are younger than you or older than you is sometimes harder. And I just feel like uh just community service and philanthropy doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be stressful. It could just be fun like coaching. And this way you're not only participating with your community, but then you're also having fun and enjoying it because this is going to be something that you can transfer some of the skills over. So that's just something we've been trying to do recently, again, for the future, just highlight those brothers that are doing great things in the community, and we should be thanking them for going out of their way, like Chris, to work and then still have school, but then still go and be a good example for the community. And that is the end of the presentation. Thank you for a great year, and I hope to hear back from all of you.